Hi, welcome to CMORoom Spotlight. I'm Andrea, Orth, Executive Director of CMORoom, and I'm here today in Atlanta with Shermika Dunner. Hello, Shermika, how are you?
I'm doing well, Andrea. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Shermika is the Innovation Lead of Brand and Insights for Kimberly-Clark. She is joining us here before our CMORoom dinner at Little Sparrow, which you just said was a really good choice. I'm excited to try it.
Yes, fabulous choice.
Wonderful. Well, let's just jump in. I've got a couple of questions for you. I'm just going to jump in, might throw a little fun one at the end, but nothing that should throw you off guard.
Sounds
So let's start with, what's one insight about customers that surprised you? And then how did it shift, the way you approach your marketing strategy today?
I would say one of the insights that surprised me is that customers want as much clarity as possible. So less confusion, more clarity. And so this is something that I discovered when doing customer insights work, and accordingly, it's allowed me to retool a lot of our innovation pipelines with how we look at our packaging, our value propositioning, and then how we actually go out into market, our go-to-market strategy.
Great. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely interesting that people just want you to kind of tell it to them straight.
Yes.
Or they don't get a lot of details. Right. Don't confuse us. Just get straight to it.
Exactly.
Makes a ton of sense. I love that. As someone who's led teams to transformation and growth, what's the mindset shift that you believe separates good and great marketing leaders today?
I would say, Andrea, a good marketer is focused on execution. A great marketer is focused on strategy and how does everything tie into the business. So a great marketer has to be focused on business impact. So whether you think about your supply chain, how does this new product, how's it going to affect my supply chain? How is it going to affect new assets? Do we have to get new assets, remove assets, things of the sort? So I would say strategy is super important for a great marketer to understand that long term.
Right, a little bit more big picture.
Absolutely.
Even it sounds like too, not just focusing on like what's next and what's not my, going to execute against it, but like what's that bigger picture. Great. In your experience, what do creative strategy and data intelligence intersect? Where do they intersect most powerfully? And then how does that intersection help make the work better in execution?
I love data, but I always say you can't have like analysis paralysis, for example. So data should actually inform marketers on what they need to do. So it should inform creative, but it should be a strategic lead. So not whereas creative relies solely on data, the data has to inform creative where one is still able to be creative and execute accordingly from a strategic perspective. So I would say that's where that intersection comes in. They both influence one another.
Definitely. Agree. You're in a very, heavy innovation role.
Yes.
It sounds like. And, that touches a lot of different parts of the business. And it's very critical to long-term growth. What role should marketing play in shaping and accelerating that product pipeline when you thinking of that innovation?
I would say the role that marketing needs to play is to be one of a thought leader, keeping the consumer or customer at the heart of everything that you do, because without the consumer or customers, we don't have jobs, quite frankly. And then really understanding being a futurist. So what are those new trends that may be in place in the market in 3 to 5 years? And again, that ties into one, understanding your brand and building it, and then two, understanding those insights from your consumers, because they can help inform the strategy. And I would say another thing with innovation, again, you have to understand those key business touch points. It's great to have a great, cool product that comes out into the place, but you have to understand capital governance. How does it tie into the business and building those relationships across key stakeholders with an innovation?
Right. There's definitely, especially in the CPG world, there's definitely so many different areas that you have to think about from, how is that product and that innovation going to get to market?
Exactly.
And get to that end consumer. Lots of different moving pieces, I'm sure.
A lot of moving pieces. Yeah. And I think when people see products on the shelf, they don't realize all of the things that went into play. And it can take years before you sometimes see that innovation.
Definitely. So, last question. We're just doing a couple of quick ones here. What advice would you share with marketers who want to build influence beyond their teams? Thinking about like presenting maybe to the C-suite or cross-functional partners or internal stakeholders. What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say a key piece of advice is understand how to tell a great, succinct story, especially when you're presenting to the C-suite. Sometimes time is of the essence as well as trust. So understand storytelling. Know your data, but use it as a back pocket to where you can simplify everything. And I would also say building trust is super important. So having those one-on-one connections where the C-suite leaders, they know who you are, they trust your brand, and it's super important to really build your personal brand, I would say, from that perspective.
Perfect. Thank you. One last question, just because, we're here at this beautiful restaurant in Atlanta, but, you this is I think our third time here in Atlanta for CMORoom. And you've been a great supporter for all of our dinners and helping us build this community. I want to thank you for that. And I want to ask, what do you feel like you're getting out of coming to these dinners when we come to town and bring this community together?
What a fabulous off-the-cuff question. I would say that one of the things is really building the community, right? Marketing, it's a super small community. A lot of us know each other, but a lot of us do not know. So it's really about building that community and adding that network, not just calling someone when you need a job, but maybe when you have a question about performance marketing or programmatic or retail media or brand building, anything of the sort. So it's building those connections, almost like a cohort, if you will, of people who you can rely on. So I love that about the CMO. It's the actual community.
Thank you so much. It's so lovely to hear. We're really trying to build something a little bit special and different, and it's nice to hear that that's coming through. Thank you so much for joining me today, and enjoy dinner.
Thank you
I'm
so much,
excited about
Andrea.
it.
I am too. Thank you.